Hi friends, MD Vegan. I make a smoothie bowl today, but the way I make is a little bit from an old principle of mine. I always wanted to keep things easy. Yeah, I wanted at first minimize my thinking. What do I have to think about? What clothes to wear, what food to eat, and what to do first in the daily life, where all the processes have to be the same, a certain way. Washing, eating, sleeping, all these things are similar every day. So in this part of the life that I have to do anyway, I want to make sure I have to make the least amount of decisions, the most easy. I just do it as it is. And then the food, of course, is a very important part, because I have to eat every day, almost. Not the fasting days, but yeah, that is a very huge part of my life, like most of the people. So this time here, when I make the videos and new recipes, I thought, how can I minimize my decisions, my thinking, with a maximum of variety in food? Yeah, I could eat before I made these dishes, these videos, before I just when I left home, say, my parents and family, I left home, I was on my own and I had to cook for myself. So I had just 3 dishes. I always made them and thought, you don't need to think about, just do that. And later I became vegan and I thought about health and these things. So the problems came with the teeth and the back and all these things. I made yoga, and then I noticed I have to organize the food too. And then the videos with the everyday new recipe, that was really the peak of the organization, and I made a really systematic approach. And it's so easy to have a step-by-step method. I call that now take 3. After some years, I found that is the easiest way. It makes the most sense. It came to me naturally, the idea. And I had, of course, a teacher, Yogini Kaiji, who gave me a hint about the 3, interesting, and the rest I figured out myself, and began with 3 ingredients, and now it has become 3 parts. That is an easy method. I know I have 3 parts. I just have the main part. In this case, that is the fruit salad. I have 2 fruits here. I don't need to think about a lot. That's just what kind of main part do I have? What are the 3 parts for the main part? And 2 of these here are grapes and apples. Today I wanted to use my grapes. The grapes were on the counter in the kitchen, and they have to go. Tomorrow I'll go shopping again, and I know that. Let's say I have to use my grapes. So it has to be something with grapes. Good for breakfast, of course. Or a snack also. I use grapes for a snack just in between. But for breakfast now, I have grapes and the apple. That makes perfect sense, because I also know I wanted to make an oatmeal. Because the oat, and the other day I made an oatmeal smoothie the first time. I was totally amazed by the power of that oatmeal smoothie. I have made live oatmeals before, but this one was really outstanding, because just 3 ingredients. I show you again, I do it now for this smoothie bowl. I take the oatmeal smoothie at the base, and the third ingredient in my main parts. Here, bananas, there's 4 bananas, and a handful of macadamia nuts. It's a banana cream, banana milk. I would call that a banana milk smoothie. We just have bananas and nuts or seeds and the water. That doesn't count as an ingredient to me in the numbering. And the oat groats here. I found out that oats should be a little bit less than the other 2 ingredients, than the macadamia nuts and the bananas, the smallest part, because it tastes very strong and it is so high in energy. So protein is in there. Avenin it is called, a very special protein, similar to gluten, so it makes it glue and stick together. It makes it creamy, and the Ayurveda philosophy, how to be healthy in ancient Indian culture, that's called, that has a special element that makes everything for the joints and keeps it all smooth inside the body. It's very important. All the elements have to balance, so too much of each element would be out of balance. So And that seems to be here the case too. I have to take less of the oat groats to get the balance with the nuts, the fat, and with the carbohydrates, that is the bananas. Bananas are mostly for carbohydrates here. If I talk about the macronutrients, all food we eat is composed of 3 macronutrients: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. And the carbohydrates usually is the most. Some people say low carb, but okay, don't talk about that now. Just the main 3 parts, that's all we have. And so to compose the main 3 parts, I use most of carbohydrates with the bananas, and the fat comes from the macadamia nuts, and the protein from the oats. So they have a complete meal here, and as I said, begin now the blending. The oats have to be the least part, the smallest part. Of course, I mean, protein is, most of the people have eating too much protein these days. In the rich societies and the Western culture, we have plenty of protein sources. There's really no lack of protein. We usually eat too much protein, and that makes us sick too. For example, the organs are have to excrete to give away too much of the rest of the protein, and the sour turns sour and blocks the kidneys, and there are many issues with too much protein. So that's what we have usually, and in this case it is a balance. I felt it perfect when the oats was a little bit less than the others. Just saying, I mean, you can experience for yourself. Now I put the water into my smoothie in the blender, the oats, macadamias, and bananas, and let the blender this. If I use some more water later, I can add that. First, I begin with a small amount of water to start. That looks like a real power drink here. I see it blending. Looks very nice. The texture is nice too. Yeah, it's like a smoothie. So maybe have plenty of water. That's okay. Now I taste it. Yeah, the oat has a strong flavor. It's very characteristic. It has a lot of magnesium, iron, very high in iron and calcium and magnesium. Even B vitamins are in there, and the protein from the avenine. The gluten similar. When you are gluten intolerant, you could usually eat oats, but sometimes there's cross-contamination. That's called in the science world. Cross-contamination is that other parts of other cereals come into the oat from the harvest, from the storing and everything, and then you have something in the oats that doesn't really belong to the oats. That is called cross-contamination, when I understood correctly. And so some oats you have to see on the package there is written gluten-free on the oats, then you are sure that the other parts are not in that oats. Usually the avenine is similar to gluten, but if you are gluten have intolerance or something, sensitivity, you usually can eat oats without any problem. But that depends. It's a very individual thing. It's just in general. So it's a lot. It's a good, very good base for breakfast. That oats, because you have this much protein, and it keeps me really high in energy for some time. So now what I do is just simply put the first 2 parts together. That is the apple and the grapes I showed you before. Nicely cut, so bite-sized pieces. Then they're also combined nicely in the mouth. The flavor, then it gets all one. Yeah, I don't have the experience of the single parts so much, and I can also feel the whole one. It's also a reason why I take 3 parts or 3 ingredients, because then the 3 is so complex as compared to 2. It's really a huge jump from 2 to 3, that I have more sensual pleasure Yeah? Sensual pleasure means not understanding. Sensual, not analyzing. Sensual pleasure is just beyond concepts. Yeah? That is something that is more complete, the feeling. Now, when I think about my feeling, the feeling is lost. So, to make it simple, a little bit like that. And that's why the 3 is so important. So now I take the third part, is that smoothie, yeah, that oatmeal smoothie. And so we have a simplified smoothie bowl. Oatmeal smoothie bowl with grapes and apples. And that's what I have here. Wonderful. Yesterday I had just oatmeal smoothie, and a little bit more oat in there, and that was nice, yeah, but I noticed maybe a little bit better with less oats. The flavor from the oats would be too strong also. I notice immediately when one part is too much. After a while, when you work with only a small numbers of ingredients, one begins to notice pretty quickly that one part is out of balance. You don't need so much the measurements when you have only a small number of parts, and that's why this method is so easy to me. 3 steps, always 3 steps. I don't need to think about that. The number of ingredients is pretty firm. Just to learn, just to have a regular process going on every day's base. Because people often sometimes ask, what can I eat today? I'm bored, I don't like to eat the same all the time. I had the same feeling before I made this, because before I began to make the videos, I had this feeling too, like everybody else. And then the method of doing it every day in a little bit different way, with a method, because the method is like a thread through life, through every day, where I do something same and vary something. So that is a huge variety in the end. I end up making a new recipe every single day. It's everything, it's every time a little bit different. So that's a wonderful method, and it's easy to learn for everyone. I don't know how you feel about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed a little bit. And if you like, give me a thumbs up, it would be very nice. And if you like, subscribe MD Vegan on YouTube, my channel. You get a new recipe every single day. And the bell button will give you a notification. Whenever a video comes out, you get an email, be notified. And you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. Hope to see you soon.